Lily Monroe woke with her cheek pressed into the unforgiving dirt, the ground hot enough to sting her skin. Sunlight bore down on her like a branding iron on a runaway horse. Every breath was thin and sharp, scraping against her ribs as if she'd swallowed sand. Her wrists were tied behind her back so tightly her fingers had long gone numb, pale and cold against the burning day. Someone had tethered her to a split-rail fence just outside Dodge City, a place that had never claimed her, yet still found it necessary to punish her. Her cheek was swollen from a slap she never saw coming. Her lip had split during the struggle, and blood had dried in a thin trail down her chin. Her once white blouse, the last decent shirt she owned, hung torn at the shoulder. Dust clung to her shorts and bruised legs. Flies gathered on her arms, undisturbed by hands that could not rise to swat them away. The women had shouted first. Then the men joined in. Rumors flew faster than bullets in the West. Someone said she had flirted with a married man, another insisted she smiled too long at someone else's husband. Truth never mattered in Dodge City, appearances did. And Lily, with her striking face and quiet nature, had always been the kind of beauty that irritated the insecure. They tied her here at sundown. Humiliated her in front of the town. Left her for the night, the heat, and the shame that was meant to finish whatever cruelty they had begun. She tried to pray. She tried to hope. But with every passing hour, she felt the world slipping further from her reach. Her father was long gone, her mother remarried to a man who never wanted stepchildren, especially not a daughter who drew whispering eyes. Lily had nowhere left to belong. Not even to herself. When she lifted her head to look at the empty road, heat waves shimmered over lifeless grass. Nothing moved. Her voice cracked when she whispered for help, the sound swallowed instantly by the wind. Just when she felt her strength crumble entirely, something stirred at the far edge of the field. A shadow moved, steady and unhurried. A horse snorted. A rider approached. For a moment, she feared it was someone returning to finish what the town had begun. Or worse, someone who saw a helpless girl and intended to take advantage. But the figure drew closer, the outline sharpening through the shimmering heat. A man on horseback. Dusty hat, firm posture, a silhouette carved from years under an open sky. The horse moved with calm confidence, following the slow, deliberate rhythm of a rider who had seen enough trouble in his life to recognize it from a distance. He reined in near the fence. His eyes, gray, steady, seasoned, met Lily's without turning away. Without pretending she wasn't there. Without disgust. He dismounted, boots hitting the ground with a heavy thud. The man approached and knelt beside her. Up close, Lily saw the hard-earned lines on his face. Sorrow lines, storm lines, scars of a life that had not spared him. He looked around her wrists, then into her eyes. "Who did this to you?" he asked softly. No one had asked her that. No one had cared enough. She tried to answer, but only a faint rasp escaped her throat. He nodded, as if he understood anyway. When he reached for the rope, she flinched. Not because of him, but because of every hand that had grabbed her before. He paused immediately, no force, no impatience, just quiet waiting. After a long moment, she managed a tiny nod. The man cut the rope with a small knife. Her arms fell forward, blood rushing back in painful pins and needles. She nearly collapsed, and he caught her, not possessively, not forcefully, just enough to keep her upright. He lifted her gently onto his horse and steadied her trembling frame. His name, she would later learn, was Caleb Hart. But in that moment, he was simply the first safe presence she had known in years. Caleb looked back toward Dodge City, then up at her. Something darkened in his eyes, not anger toward her, but toward the cruelty she had endured. "Do you want to leave this place with me?" he asked. That question changed everything. The ride to his ranch took nearly an hour. Lily clung weakly to the saddle horn while he walked beside the horse, glancing up often to make sure she hadn't faded. With every step, the ranch came closer, cottonwoods around a modest house, a small barn, the quiet hum of a place untouched by spite. Inside, the air was cool. The scent of cedar lingered. A framed photograph of a woman rested on a table. Caleb followed her gaze. "My wife," he said quietly. "She passed some years ago." Lily nodded. She knew that kind of quiet grief. He placed a bowl of water and a cloth nearby and stepped outside to give her privacy. She washed slowly, dirt, dried blood, exhaustion. But beneath it all, she saw herself again. Bruised, but alive. When she stepped onto the porch, Caleb sat with his hat in his hands. "You'll stay here until you're strong again," he said. "No one will touch you. Not on my land." That night, when she woke for water, she saw him sitting outside in the darkness, shoulders heavy, as though guarding her even in his weariness. For the first time in her 19 years, she wondered if this place could be a beginning instead of another ending. But Dodge City did not forget. And trouble rides fast in the west. 5 days later, a cloud of dust appeared on the horizon. Caleb saw it first, the formation of riders with purpose in their bones. Men who believed they owned the right to punish. Lily recognized two immediately, the preacher who had thrown the first insult, and the saloon owner who had whispered lies about her. "We came for the girl," the preacher declared. Caleb stood firm, hand resting calmly on his revolver. "She's under my protection." The exchange grew heated. Insults flew. Threats followed. But Caleb never wavered. His voice remained steady, sharp as a whetted blade. "I lost my wife because no one stood up when they should have. I won't make that mistake again." 5 armed men backed down from a single weary rancher. But Lily knew, they would return. Weeks passed. She healed. She worked. She laughed again, something she thought she'd forgotten how to do. The ranch became a place where silence was gentle instead of cruel. One evening, watching the sky turn gold, she asked, "Do you think the world gives people second chances?" Caleb looked at her, eyes steady as ever. "Only when they're brave enough to take them." And in that moment, Lily realized she had survived her past, not to return to it, but to rise beyond it.